Palestinians perpetrated the deadliest day for Jews since Adolf Hitler's gas chambers were in operation. On the night of December 12, 2025, deep in California's Mojave Desert, 4 people gathered at a table in a tent. They were grinding charcoal and sulfur, building what they called complex pipe bombs. They believed they were leading a revolution, a group called the Turtle Island Liberation Front. Their plan, drafted in an 8-page manifesto, was titled Operation Midnight Sun. Their goal was to blow up logistics centers across Los Angeles at the exact stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve 2026. But they weren't alone. Thousands of miles away in New Orleans, a former Marine was loading an assault rifle and body armor into his car, texting his friends about recreating Waco, an incident in Texas where many federal agents were shot and some of them killed. And further still, in Italy, financial police were closing in on the money fueling the very ideology that radicalized them all. Today, we break down the charges, the evidence, and the global thread connecting a bomb plot in California to an over $7 million Hamas terror pipeline in Rome. The indictment took place here, at the U.S. District Court in downtown Los Angeles. The ringleader, Audrey Eileen Carroll, and her top recruiter, Zachary Aaron Page, are facing conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction and providing material support to terrorists. If convicted, they are looking at a statutory minimum of life in federal prison. The other 2, Dante Gaffield and Tina Lai, are charged with conspiracy and possession of unregistered destructive devices, still facing up to 25 years. The FBI didn't just get lucky. They had receipts. The court evidence is an 8-page handwritten document found at Page's residence titled Operation Midnight Sun. It detailed the targets, U.S. logistics companies, and technology firms. It explicitly stated that the noise of the New Year's Eve fireworks would mask the initial detonations. They used an encrypted Signal group chat to communicate, in a group called Order of the Black Lotus. When the FBI moved in the Mojave Desert, they didn't find fireworks. They found potassium nitrate, sulfur powder, and charcoal, the classic recipe for black powder, along with PVC pipes and fuses. They also found plans for after the bombings, a secondary campaign to ambush ICE agents with firearms and pipe bombs, to quote, take some of them out and scare the rest of them. While the LA crew was building bombs, a separate but connected threat was moving in Louisiana. Micah James Legnon, a 29-year-old former Marine, he was stopped on Highway 90, heading east toward New Orleans. Agents found an assault rifle, a handgun, body armor, and a gas canister. A search of his home revealed sniper training manuals and SWAT tactic guides. The most chilling piece of evidence wasn't the guns, but the intent. Legnon, using the alias Black Witch, posted a photo of Border Patrol agents with the captions, "Shit, time to create Waco, Texas with these fuckers. F*** ICE." Legnon wasn't officially in the Mojave, but he was in the same digital ecosystem, allegedly communicating with the Order of the Black Lotus network. He is currently charged with making threats in interstate commerce. So, we have a bomb plot in LA and a shooter in New Orleans. What does Italy have to do with this? While the FBI was watching the Mojave Desert, Italian financial police arrested 9 people in a massive terror finance crackdown. These individuals weren't planning bombs. They were moving money. Over $7.3 million US dollars laundered through charities and shell companies destined directly for Hamas. Here's the link. The ideology that convinced Carolyn Page to build bombs in California is the same one being funded by this network in Italy. The Turtle Island Liberation Front members viewed themselves as a domestic front for a war in the Middle East being paid for by the guys in Rome. So, how do we connect a bomb plot in the Mojave Desert to a financial crime ring in Rome? The answer lies in how a legitimate protest movement was hijacked by terror propaganda. It starts with the Free Palestine movement. For most, it was about human rights. But investigators argue this created a massive, chaotic noise, a perfect cover for bad actors to insert specific Hamas messaging. The Italian investigation revealed that the millions of dollars didn't just vanish. It was moved through networks that hid behind the banner of humanitarian aid for Gaza. Then look at the Los Angeles cell. The FBI evidence logs show that Carroll and Page weren't just reading history books, they were consuming raw Hamas propaganda. The red inverted triangle seen on the handmade sign in evidence is a military symbol used by Hamas to mark tanks and soldiers for death. What likely started as political grievance spiraled into something darker. As seen in the imagery associated with this movement, the symbolism is specific. The red inverted triangle, originally used in combat footage to mark military targets, has migrated from Hamas war footage to American streets. In the eyes of federal prosecutors, this wasn't just protest art. It was a signal of intent. The death to ICE signs found by investigators mirror the rhetoric seen in these clips, marking law enforcement as targets for their planned New Year's Eve attack. According to the DOJ, the group planned to plant backpacks filled with pipe bombs at commercial logistics centers to detonate simultaneously at midnight. The investigation also revealed discussions about targeting human lives, specifically ICE agents and their vehicles, using the same target logic seen in the propaganda you just saw. Why the radicalism in the Turtle Island Liberation Front and the Free Palestine movement? To answer that question, we have to go back to October 7th, 2023. Hamas and other militant groups began by launching thousands of rockets into Israel. Approximately 3,000 Arabs who call themselves Palestinian breached the Gaza-Israel security fence using explosives, bulldozers, and paragliders. They attacked military bases and small cities called kibbutz along the Gaza border. They also attacked thousands of young people attending the Nova Music Festival. Many of them were gunned down as they ran from Palestinian terrorists. 1,200 people were killed: the elderly, women, children, men, and some IDF soldiers. Palestinians perpetrated the deadliest day for Jews since Adolf Hitler's gas chambers were in operation. The dead were the lucky ones. Another 250 were kidnapped, starved, raped, and tortured. The terrorists used GoPros, body cameras, and victims' phones to livestream executions intended to spread psychological terror. Israel responded by launching the heaviest airstrikes in the history of their conflict, leveling entire neighborhoods in Gaza City and Khan Yunis to target Hamas's vast tunnel network. Unlike Palestinians, Israel often warned them of impending strikes. Israel mobilized 360,000 reservists and launched a full-scale ground invasion, effectively cutting Gaza Strip in half and encircling major cities. No one knows the true number of dead Palestinians, since Hamas never stopped giving false numbers to the press. The number of dead children is what seemed to have triggered the Free Gaza movement. It seemed every time Israel killed terrorists, Hamas would release a statement saying civilians and mostly children were killed. Hamas's military wing began releasing combat footage that fundamentally changed how the war was viewed by Western supporters. These videos featured a red, inverted triangle animated over Israeli tanks or soldiers just before they were struck by RPGs. The imagery went viral globally, with the red triangle becoming a symbol of resistance, used in graffiti and protest signs, signaling support for armed warfare rather than human rights. Through propaganda, Palestinian terrorists and their supporters built a massive, youth-driven base in the West. It successfully reframed the narrative from Israel responding to a terrorist attack, which is the truth, to Israel committing genocide, which obviously did not happen, fueling protests in 2024 and 2025. Recent sociological and counterterrorism reports suggest a growing phenomenon where American alignment with the Free Palestine movement intersects with religious conversion to Islam. These pathways can overlap, ranging from peaceful spiritual seeking to potential radicalization. The false narrative led to the Turtle Island Liberation Front's shift in purpose. Their anti-government, anti-capitalist, and radicalization by the Free Gaza movement paved their path to terrorism. For now, the four suspects are facing charges of conspiracy and possession of unregistered destructive devices. It is a stark reminder of how quickly radical rhetoric can transform into real-world violence. The anti-Israel and anti-ICE threats weren't just on signs in a suspect's home. They're on the sidewalks of Los Angeles and across the United States. This graffiti was left after recent anti-ICE and No Kings protests. Audrey Carroll and Micah Legnon likely never met the money men in Rome. They didn't have to. They were united by a single, powerful narrative pipeline. The Roman hub monetized terrorism in Israel, and the Turtle Island Liberation Front weaponized it here in the United States. Operation Midnight Sun proves that when propaganda is effective enough, it doesn't just inspire protests, it manufactures soldiers. The Free Palestine movement created a crowd of American and European puppets to support a terrorist regime whose sole purpose is to destroy Israel and convert the world to Islam. This should set off alarms globally. It isn't about politics, it's about the safety and security of the non-Muslim Western world. If you too believe people in your country are vulnerable to the Free Palestine movement, seek assistance from your country's representatives to prevent your country from becoming rife with social and religious decay. As always, stay safe, stay vigilant, and let us know what you think in the comments below.